this video, we're going to cover the buyout, Henrik Lundqvist, and the trade of Mark Stahl. As long as I can remember, I'm wearing this shirt today, by the way, 2014 Cup shirt. As long as I can remember, when I first started watching hockey, there's only been one constant every single year. Only one constant. And that constant was always Henrik Lundqvist. And for the first time in my 15 years, how old was I when I started watching hockey? I was like 6 years old when I started watching hockey, so around 2006, 2007. Actually, I think I started watching hockey the year Hank broke into the league. I've only known one constant, and that was Henrik Lundqvist. And that's it. That is literally the end of an era. It's a really, really weird thought. Thinking there's going to be Ranger games next season, we're not going to see Henrik Lundqvist. It's a very, very odd feeling. But before we get into the emotional stuff, or if we're going to get to the emotional stuff about it, let's just talk about the Rangers and the implications of the buyout and the trade, or the good comings and all that shit that comes from it, because there's good and bad that comes with it. It sucks. Like this. That is so sad. I guess it had to be done, but it's just so sad. This is even more sad. I'm just kidding. It's not as it's sad, but it's not as sad as losing Lundqvist. $13 million is more than any player in the NHL makes. Any player. I made fun of Edmonton last year because they had roughly $11 million in dead cap, and then here we are with just about $13 million, $6,000 off. So, yeah, that sucks. That's $13 million is a lot of money. $13 million is the difference between adding 3 or 4 really good depth pieces, or 2 good pieces, or a stud to depth piece like this. $13 million is a lot of money. And it sucks because, I mean, you could look at it through the lens of, we opened up $3 million by buying out Lundqvist. Well, you could also look at it through the lens of, now we got to pay $1.5 million for Lundqvist next year when he could have just been gone anyways. $1.5 million is not a lot of money, but Rangers have had a lot of $1.5 million free agents in the past few years that turned out pretty good. Dominic Moore and Michael Grabner, to name 2. But anyways, let's not get too hooked up on that. Let's just talk Rangers and what everything means here. So we now have we have $23 million to re-sign all of our friends. So we're gonna go ahead and make an armchair GM. Sorry, I got confused for a second. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just take a look at all of our Rangers boys, and we're going to, well, first and foremost, let's just do this. So specifically, New York Rangers. Let's get everyone signed and see what we got here, right? So Strome, I saw something along the lines of Strome getting 1 year, $4 million. That's what I saw. Let's call it 4.5. Let's overcompensate this video. I don't give a shit that I'm not logged in. Just sign the damn player. Sorry, we gotta go to roster. So we're just for the sake of this video, and because I really just don't want to hear people, we're gonna overcompensate all contracts. Boom, do that. Georgiev, let's say he probably gets that probably for a year or 2. And Tony D, I saw something like 3 years. 3 years, 15 million, something like that. We're not gonna worry about these guys. Steve Cjethsyt, probably get 1 year, 750 if he does resign, and it'll probably be on a one-way. So, then we got to go to create a player. Alexis Lafreniere. 1, 2, 5, 3 left wing creates. Okay, it's Lafreniere, Strome, Kako Gauthier. Alright, so this is kind of where the Rangers sit, right about now. And still only have like $8.5 million to kind of fill out the rest of the team. And I honestly don't know. I don't know what the Rangers' intentions are this season, because this is a lot to process this team, because the holes you got to fill are depth holes, but if this guy didn't exist, we'd be in a lot more comfortable position. Oh, you know what? Reunen. I think that's who's going to replace what's his dick Stahl. Probably have Reunen. Rick Smith, Trouba, which port friggin' Trouba, Lindgren, Fox, Reunen, D'Angelo. If that, we'll put Leroy Hayek up here for shits and gigs. I don't think Elias comes over this season. Perhaps next. Kraftstoff can still come over, but let's see. We got 6 million. We need one more healthy scratch. So yeah, we'll put Newell up there. It's not going to be Newell, but we'll put Gettinger, because Gettinger, we assume like a D. Giuseppe contract, $700,000. So that'll about rough out that money. And then we just need. Oh yeah, we have D. Giuseppe here. So we got our 3 scratches. 1, 2, 3. We got extra defenseman, and we just need to sign a 4th line free agent. So the Rangers are going to have $6.2 million now to sign a 4th line free agent, which is a lot of money for a 4th liner. And it confused me, because after Stahl was gone, once Mark Stahl was gone, we undoubtedly had enough money to re-sign D'Angelo, Strome, and Lemieux. Undoubtedly. There was no question that we were able to re-sign those guys. So buying out Lundqvist, the only thing they're doing there is just avoiding a 3-goalie situation. In which case, you could have told them to fucking shove it. We don't have to buy you out. But I guess in terms of class, yeah, actually, never mind. I take that back, because it is all about being classy, I guess. But it's got to be more underlying reasons as to why they would buy out Lundqvist. And if they knew they were going to buy out Lundqvist, why did they trade Stahl? Because even if you put Stahl's $5.7 million cap hit right here, the Rangers still had enough money to re-sign everybody and have $2 million to spare to sign a free agent. So I wonder why we would trade Stahl at the cost of losing a 2nd-round pick, buy out Lundqvist, just have this much money left over. Unless they're really 100% believing that Kakko, Lafreniere, and what's his name, someone else on this team is going to hit their potential performance bonuses, in which case we're going to need that money so we don't get charged next season. And that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But got a funny feeling that's not going to be the case. Let's take a look longer back. What's potential performance bonuses? It literally won't tell us. So what do we got here? 7.2 and 2. You throw in the possible bonuses for Lafreniere. Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Because that's a lot of overage. But I don't think we end up using all of this. I'd imagine we use a little bit of this, but I don't imagine we use all of it. I wonder what they're gonna do with this money, because in a situation like this, we're actually now able to re-sign Jesper Fast. And I'm beginning to wonder if they do. Because at this moment, it doesn't look like the Rangers are poised to really do much else. Obviously, we saw the Jack Eichel rumor from Bob McKenzie. Much as I want Jack Eichel, I don't think we're going to trade for him. Actually, I did a little something on Twitter. This got kind of blown out of proportion because everyone was making all the craziest fucking offers for Eichel I've ever seen in my life. Unfortunately, I think all of us pigeons out there on Twitter and Armchair GM don't really understand how trades work. And as good as we may think a player is, their value really is not as high as we make it out to be. For example, Tyler Seguin, former 2nd overall pick, was traded at the age of 7 years ago. So he was traded at 22, so a year younger than Eichel. And he was traded with a random AHLer and a 3rd-line center for a player comparable to, let's just say, Philip Hedl, Nils or Keandre Miller, Tim Gettinger, and Chris Kreider. So Kreider, Gettinger, Hedl, and Nils or Keandre, those 4, which are pretty big pieces, in theory, would get you a former 2nd overall pick. And I definitely want to make the case that Eichel, at his age, was way better than Seguin was. Now, we do live in a league that had a lot more scoring than when Seguin got traded this year. The scoring was not up nearly as high in 2013. 2013, I think the highest score was Crosby with 56 points. It was at St. Louis because it was a shortened year. And the year before that, I think I don't even think the guy clipped 100 points. Could be wrong about that, but scoring was not nearly as high as it is in today's NHL. The players are just better. Now, with that being said, the assets going back for Eichel are just as good as these assets. Louis Eriksson sucks. As a player, he really hasn't changed much, besides the fact that the league got faster. He did not. Riley Smith, he's kind of a tough comparable to Hedl, to be honest, because Riley Smith, at the time of the trade, had 40 games under his belt. And in those 40 games, he had 9 points. Whereas Filip Hedl has shown much more upside. I'll even show you. So Hedl at Riley Smith's age, because this was 7 years ago. So Riley Smith was 22 years old, a former third-round pick. Filip Hedl is 21 years old and a former first-round pick. Has 144 games at roughly 50 points under his belt. And has gotten better every season he's played. So Hedl's value over Smith's value is pretty significant. I would say Hedl is about 50% to 60% more valuable than Riley Smith was at the time of the Sagan trade. So you're getting extra value out of Hedl over Riley Smith. Joe Morrow at the time of the trade, I believe, was also 22. Again, it was 7 years ago, right? No, it wasn't. Yes, 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, Joe Morrow was 20, so about the same age, and picked at around the same time. However, did not show nearly as much promise, upside, or value as Lundqvist or K'Andre Miller. That's not even a matter of bias. It's a matter of just Joe Morrow's play style. He was a defensive defenseman, but he was not very tall. Well, he still isn't. 6'4". 6'207". Whereas Nils Lundqvist is 5'11", and K'Andre Miller is 6'5" and wheels. They both do. So Joe Morrow had trade value, but not as much as Nils Lundqvist or K'Andre Miller. And then Louis Eriksson, I compare him to Chris Kreider. Louis Eriksson at the time of the trade, I believe, was like 26 years old. Let's see. No, 28 years old. So same age as Chris Kreider. And was coming off 29 points in 48 games. So was a little over 0.5 points per game. I think that comes out to maybe like 0.58 or 0.59 points per game. Chris Kreider, wow, Google's always listening. Whereas Chris Kreider is sitting at a little 6.65, 0.7 points per game. Definitely scores goals a lot more and is faster than Louis Eriksson, same age, and is locked up long term. So I think he poses equal, if not a little bit more value than Louis Eriksson. And Matt Frazier compared to Tim Gettinger, if you look at Matt Frazier at the time of the trade, he was 23 years old and had 3 points in 13 NHL games and was pretty good in the AHL. So maybe you can make the argument that Matt Frazier had a little bit more trade value than Tim Gettinger does at the moment. But if the Rangers were going to make a realistic offer for Jack Eichel, probably revolve around Chris Kreider, Filip Hedl, Nils Lundqvist, or K'Andre Miller, plus, who am I missing? Hedl, Lundqvist / Miller, Kreider, and Tim Gettinger, which is, to me, sounds incredibly underwhelming and makes zero sense. When the Buffalo Sabres and the Rangers make that offer, I'm wiping my ass with it and never calling them back. Rangers can put in the 22nd overall pick that we get from Carolina, and even that's like, from Buffalo's perspective, might not be as enticing. However, if you look at it through the lens of Buffalo's getting 4 assets, Rangers are getting 1, or 5 assets, Rangers are getting 1. So that means Jack Eichel would always be 1 injury away from us having 0 assets and Buffalo having 5, no matter what way they look at it. So I think that's more through the lens of what NHL GMs look at. So if you did Eichel and Gergensen for the package I just mentioned, on paper, maybe in a GM's eyes, that would be more fair than what actual fans are suggesting, which is the 1st and 22nd overall pick, plus Kakko, plus Hedl, plus Buchnevich, or Fox, which just sounds absurd and obscene. And I wouldn't trade that for McDavid. Much as I loved Connor McDavid and think he's the best player in the world, it's not even close. I think the Rangers right now are at the point where that is a quantity of high quality for very high quality. In which case, I'll take the quantity of good quality in Kakko, Fox, Lafreniere, and all that. So I don't think Jack Eichel's the move. I want him to be the move, but it's not going to happen. Like, look at this guy. Look at this. Oh, I'm great at spelling. I would freaking love Jack Eichel more than anything in the world. But I think right now we'd have to overpay to get him. So I just don't think it's going to happen. But moving on. Let's get off of that subject. So what do I think the Rangers are really going to do? To be honest, I don't think they're going to re-sign McKegg. Don't think they're going to re-sign Haley. Don't think they're going to re-sign Fogarty. I don't think they're going to re-sign Jesper Fast. I think if the Rangers go into this offseason doing what they want to do, they're probably going to do something small. Maybe like a Craig Smith or a Wayne Simmons. Definitely not Tobias Reeder because he's ass. Milka Karlsson, Nosen, Dale Weiss, something. They'll do something along, maybe like even an Austin Czarnik. Actually, no, please not Austin Czarnik. I will cry my fucking eyes out. Who's in the left wing? Well, you know what? They might actually sign a center. I would bet money they would sign a center. So let's just say they go out, they give like Eric Howla 1 year. We'll overcompensate because we're good at doing that. Whatever. They sign Eric Howla. They move Howden to the wing. So I think this is more realistic. This is more like what the Rangers are going to see going into next season. Which honestly is not overly impressive. There are definitely holes that need filling. I don't think the Rangers are going to go out and sign another defenseman or trade for one. Because I think they're pretty willing to accept the fact that Libor Hayek can play in the NHL. He might not be the best. But I don't think they're ready to waste assets either. To bring in a defenseman or money. Though they probably should. I think they believe Rayonen is ready. I think it was Statboy Steven on Twitter who said that, and I kind of agree with him, to be honest with you. I think Rayonen is both ready and affordable, and you don't have to give assets to get him because he's already on your team. And at this point, it doesn't hurt to try stuff. We don't necessarily need to make the playoffs next season. We don't. We didn't need to make them this season. The Rangers have no... I mean, yeah, it's fun to win and get into the playoffs and do shit like that, but like we don't necessarily need to. We're not in a rush right now. Right now, I think the Rangers' main focus, if anything, is 2 years from the next 2 years in terms of re-signing their guys, because in the next 2 years you have to re-sign Zibanejad, Strome, Kakko, Gauthier. I'm not going to count Howden. Hedel, Shesterkin, Fox, Lindgren, and we'll throw Kravtsov in there. So you got like 8 or 9 guys that are being pretty important, or it's going to be pretty imperative that they are re-signed. So I think that's their main focus right now and their main worry. Not winning. Although winning is important and something a team should strive to do, and I want the Rangers to focus on winning. I don't think it's their biggest focus. I don't think it's their biggest concern. I think the only way the Rangers make another big move this offseason and acquire a top-tier talent is if they shed one of these two, or Kreider, which I don't think they just go out and shed, or if they don't re-sign Strome, in which case then they need to find a second-line center. And finding second-line centers, especially in this free agency, is not going to be easy. These are the centers you have to choose from. I'm sorry, Tyler Ennis is not replacing Ryan Strome. Strome is way better than Tyler Ennis. Same with Soderberg, same with Granlund, same with Jumbo Joe. None of these guys off the cuff are replacing Ryan Strome unless the Rangers make a trade, which I don't think they're going to do. I would like them to, because there's some names out there that I think would fit in pretty nice, but I don't think they're going to. Especially because I think the Rangers are looking at it more like it would be a waste of time to give up good assets to bring in a plug-in second-line center that is a second-line center, nothing more. Whereas in today's NHL, it's kind of about stacking your team and being as good as possible. We look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, they basically had 3 guys that could play first-line center. Cirelli, Stamkos, Point, and you could even throw Johnson in that mix. They could all be first-line centers. Maybe not strong first-line centers in the case of Cirelli and Tyler Johnson, but first-line centers nonetheless. So I think the Rangers might be more interested in bringing a stud first-line center to play second or first line, depending. And I think that would be, they'd look at more giving up a quantity of assets for high quality, like an Eichel or Barkov, which I'm somewhat against, but also at the same time somewhat for, because one player really can make a difference. Ask Mark Messier when he was traded to the Rangers in '92. Basically won us the cup. So there's definitely there's so much to be discussed about this Rangers offseason. I'm literally, me sitting here trying to predict what they're going to do is both a waste of my time and a waste of your time, because there is literally no telling what the hell this team is going to do, because they can do anything. if they want to go all in and try to win next season, they could do that. I hope they don't. But they can do that. And if they do that, I'll root for them all the same. I might not agree with the move, but it wouldn't stop me from being a Rangers fan. I just don't know. I don't know if it's worth giving up all those assets for an Eichel or a Barkov. Although, at the same time, that's Jack Eichel or Alexander Barkov you're bringing in. And, let's just do this really quick. And now this is just placeholder. So let's just pretend the Rangers acquire Jack Eichel, which I promise you is not going to happen this offseason. I absolutely promise you. So, and just put in a shitty placeholder. Immediately, they're probably not going to even re-sign him. Let's just pretend this is a random AHLer like Ryan Button was. And all right, we can't even trade for what's his dick because he's a UFA, Zemgus Girgensons. So, I'm trying to make it like the Sagan trade. Yikes, that contract. It wouldn't be Eric Saul because they literally did it. Pretend Tage Thompson, even though he has not near the same value that Rich probably had. So, like I said, you have to put in Kreider. You have to put in Hedel. You cannot get away without doing that. You got to put in trade away player rights. I'm trying to think of defensemen on the Buffalo Sabres. They might value Keandre Miller more than Nils Lundqvist. No. They would want the right shot. So they would probably want Nils. You got to put in Carolina's 22nd overall pick because this is Jack Eichel we're talking about. And then what else did I say we need to put in there? Kreider, Hedel, Lundqvist. Oh, and Gettinger. So we do this. So let's just pretend the Rangers give up these 5 assets, and somehow that acquires us Jack Eichel. Which personally, I don't think it would. I don't think that's enough to acquire Jack Eichel. But you could also make the argument that that's an overpayment in terms of quantity of assets you're giving up and what they bring to the table. So fuck it. I don't want to give up Matthew Robertson. I love Matthew Robertson. I think he's gonna be really good for a really long time. Fuck it, let's put him in there. I don't like the idea of giving up Matthew Robertson. That would upset me if we traded Matthew Robertson because he's really good. So you give up these 6 pretty friggin' solid assets for Jack Eichel, especially because 21-20 could very well be studs in this league, and we could regret this trade very much. I think this is an overpayment. Honestly, fuck it, I'm taking Robertson out of the trade. I think this is getting pretty close to overpayment territory, but fuck it. We're having fun right now. So let's just pretend this is the trade. And now Jack Eichel's on the team. What the hell do we do from here? You go Eichel, Panarin, Kakko? Yuck. That's gross. That's insane. That's insanity. Well, now you got to bring in... Now Cjethsyt's on the team for sure. And now you got to call guys up. So let's just pretend... We sign a free agent, and we sign another free agent. Okay. So now you're looking at $665,000 in cap space. No room for overages unless you ditch Eric Halla and replace him with someone already on the roster, like a Quarterenko or something like that, and I do not think Quarterenko's ready. You could make the case for moving Ryan Strome. You could do something like this. Well, it doesn't really affect money, but still. Like, this is kind of what the roster would look like. And honestly, on paper, offensively, that is a sick friggin' team. It's a scary team. But at the same token, look at this defense. Trust. Yikes. Still don't know. And I don't know. There's just so much that's going to go into this offseason that I don't even want to begin to try to comprehend. But there are just endless opportunities. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about in this video. I'm happy we made the Stahl trade. At the cost of a second-round pick, it sucks, but if the money's being used for something, it's not that bad. And considering how much cap space we're going to have going into next season because of all the buyouts ending and shit like that, like if you go to long-term outlook, our overages next season are going to go from where Lundqvist hit. Just add 1.5. It's like $4 million next season. So we're going to open up in buyouts alone about $8.5 million in cap space. And that could just go towards the overages, and depending on how we treat re-signing our guys, who knows. But I don't think any of this happens, guys. There's just so much we don't know going into this offseason. I ramble so much in these videos because this is the most unpredictable Rangers offseason I've ever seen us go into. So we'll just have to wait and see. I really don't know what they're gonna do. I look forward to seeing what they're gonna do. When is Lafreniere Day? October 6th. So 6 more sleeps until Lafreniere's New York Rangers. So at least we get that to look forward to, right, guys? But until then, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. You guys got to comment below. Let me know what you think about all things, everything, and we'll talk then. Thank you, everybody, for watching the video. When you're watching this, make it end. If you're sensitive, they said you do not need hearing aids. Whew. Henrik Lundqvist, thank you for all the memories. We're going to miss you. Appreciate you, Hank. Later.